Wednesday morning, February 11th. Rise and shine. Good morning to you. Good morning. I'm meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's doing in the world of weather. Hopefully, we get your day started off on the right note. I've already done most of my coffee. I've got a little bit left, but we're going to switch over to the protein shake because that's my version of Coffee Talk. Let's look outside live this morning. Definitely a bit of an adjusted temperature. All morning long, I've basically been saying it's cool, it's not cold. 55 degrees, our current temperature in the city. We're sitting at about 52 in the villages, 48 there in Ocala. So it's not so bad, but definitely an adjusted temperature, we'll say, right? So that said, let's take a live look outside, see what's doing on our tower cam network, because it's not the same clear sky that we've been seeing. We've got some clouds over top. There's downtown Orlando, definitely with the clouds. Let's head over to Tavares, check in and see what's doing for you in Lake County. Just as nice. The sunrise this morning, we'll call it like filtered sunshine, right? Yeah, so not too bad, not too bad at all. That said, though, we've got the clouds. Notice, though, our first warning live radar across Central Florida is looking good. We head up to, we tap into the Jacksonville radar, and there's some rain up north of Jacksonville from Valdosta over towards Savannah. Just some of those showers. Nothing big, nothing strong, but a little bit of moisture around. So that lets you kind of know where we're at. So then, okay, where do we go from here? The forecast for today looking great. It's going to be just like yesterday. We'll say warmer than average. Average is about 74 degrees. We'll call today 71 by noon, 77 degrees our daytime high. Just gorgeous weather. Just gorgeous weather. So what can I say? Brian says, morning, y'all. Late shift at the Speedway this evening. So figured I'd get some coffee talk in. Well, we appreciate you joining us. It's always a good day when we all get to hang out, I think, right? So yeah, the weather pattern is looking great. Temperatures this morning noticeably warmer than yesterday. Look at that. To the tune, it's 9 degrees warmer in Orlando, 15 almost degrees warmer than yesterday in Palm Coast. So you absolutely notice that change. So what are we tracking? Well, the big stories that we're tracking for now is warming these temperatures, right? Upper 70s for the next couple of days, and that's going to carry us right through to the weekend. And then looking ahead even further, this weekend, there's going to be rain in the forecast. But the exact timing is difficult. And so what I'm going to do is I put this together yesterday. We'll start here, and then we can always dial into the raw data together, okay? So the American GFS model is dialed in to the idea that our storm system moves our direction Monday, basically from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., an on again, off again rain event during the day. Whereas the European model says, not so fast, my friend, 1 p.m. to about 11 p.m. on Sunday. That makes it difficult. The models are trending to their own camp. And if you've watched Coffee Talk a while, you know that especially come hurricane season, like I'm a huge believer in computer models are guidance, not gospel. I'm a huge believer in we have to not just look at the data, but we have to look at the tea leaves. What are the models saying? What kind of data can we extract from them? If you show just one run of one model, you do not get the full story at all. So here's what I want to do is I want to dial into, this is the raw GFS. All right. First off, a couple of showers. This is going to be Thursday. That's 5 p.m. Okay, a couple of showers. I don't care about that. I mean, I do, but you know what I'm saying. All right. So here's Sunday, 8 a.m. There's Sunday, 2 p.m. Now it's showing some offshore showers, but nothing significant. Okay. Rolling through time. There's the rain arriving. That's 4 a.m. on Monday, 7 a.m. Monday, 10 a.m. Monday, 1 p.m. Monday, 4 p.m. Monday, 7 p.m. Monday, right? So you get the idea. It's going with Monday rain. All right, that's the current 6Z version of the model. Let's go back, okay? Timestamp in the top right corner gives you an idea of what's called the valid time, right? So you can kind of get an idea. All right, rolling through time, same idea. There's 4 a.m., 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 1 p.m., 4 p.m. This is Monday. GFS consistent. Let's go back 2 runs. So now we're at the 18Z run yesterday. Same idea. This is 4 a.m., 7 a.m. Monday, 10 a.m. Monday, 1 p.m. Monday, 4 p.m. Monday. Same idea, right? Okay, so consistency, literally run to run consistency is there. Let's go back to Sunday and switch over to the European model. All right, 6Z European run. 1 p.m. Sunday, 4 p.m. Sunday, 7 p.m. Sunday, 10 p.m. Sunday. Like the two models are almost totally separate, almost 24 hours apart from each other, which as a forecaster gets a little frustrating. You know, we're only a couple of days out, and I understand deterministic models are deterministic models, but you really, at this point, I would prefer to have some sort of model agreement. It would make my job just a little bit easier. Right? All right, so let's do this. That's the current 6Z. Let's go back to the 0Z. 1 p.m. Sunday, 4 p.m. Sunday, 7 p.m. Sunday. So same thing, Sunday afternoon. Let's go back 2 runs. This is the 18Z European from yesterday. 1 p.m. Sunday, 4 p.m. Sunday, 7 p.m. Sunday. Same idea. Let's go back 3 runs ago. 10 a.m. Sunday, 1 p.m. Sunday, 4 p.m. Sunday, 7 p.m. Sunday, right? So you get the idea. Man, oh man. So then, you know, I'm sure your question, if it's not, it should be like, okay, then when is it going to rain? Well, we can dial into at least some European data and some GFS data on a broader scale. So this is going to be so let's look at the ensembles and just kind of see where the ensembles are. All right, so there's the storm system, 12Z Sunday, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana. That's the GFS operational. If we get into the ensembles, GFS ensemble, all right, they're fairly tightly packed out there, and then they kind of dive to the south into Monday. All right, so that's the GFS ensemble. Let's look at the European ensemble here, much further ahead. And I think that that's the struggle. It's not just the deterministic model, the GFS and the Euro. The ensembles are the same thing. So, okay, so let's just have a very transparent discussion about this. And it's going to be just like during hurricane season. When you look at computer models, they are guidance, not gospel. You have to focus on reading and understanding the total package here. So, because the fact is, not just the European and the GFS operational disagreeing with each other, their ensembles are disagreeing with each other. The confidence in this forecast is not there. Now, one other thing that we can do, and I showed this a little bit ago, give me a few seconds. If we do this, and then if we go to GFS, precipitate QPF, there it is. So this gives us an idea. I'm going to just resize this box a little bit here. Bear with me. But this gives us an idea. This is the multi-run precipitation product to give us the ability to really try to look at the data here. And I love this product. So this is the GFS, okay? And what we're looking at, the current run down here. And it's going with, if you notice, the best chance of rain is going to be like, that's Monday into Tuesday. And it's been, look at how each of these runs, it's been very consistent, very, very consistent there. Now, if we look at the European, same product, it's different, right? It's showing Sunday into Monday. And it's shifted even earlier, if anything. That there it was, kind of shifted earlier. And so these models are consistently disagreeing with each other. As a forecaster, that's super frustrating. Just going to be honest with you. So we're going to be watching those trends. And I think that those trends are super helpful to, you know, to at least keep track of the models doing this or the models doing that sort of thing. We'll get there eventually. We're just not there yet. So for now, yeah, it is what it is. All right. So you'll notice I've got rain opportunities both days. Tony took the rain chances out on Monday. He was obviously leaning more toward the European. I added some rain chances back in on Monday. I'm not saying Tony's wrong. I'm not saying that I'm wrong. It's just one of those. I think that the inconsistency between the models and the consistency inside of their own suites has me struggling to go confidently with one model over the other. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not going to the race. I have no tickets or anything. So I don't have a dog in this hunt. So I'm not going to try and tell you it's going to be sunny if it's not. I'm not going to try and tell you that it's going to be rainy if it's not. You know, I'm just trying to give you the data and let you do it. Somebody who's asking about the El Paso thing. Yes, we will 1,000% discuss that in a couple minutes. I just want to listen. Coffee Talk in its core is weather. So we needed to at least start with the weather. Then we can go out and do El Paso and talk about some flying stuff. All right, so there's there's the overall forecast. Nice weather, a couple of showers here these next couple of days, but that Sunday into Monday, that's a frustrating one. We're not dialed in yet, and until we dial in, I can't give you a good one. Yeah. All right, weather and aviation, coffee too, and sometimes food. Exactly. So, all right. So, yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about El Paso. All right. So, I'm a pilot. We're all nerds here. So, something happened overnight that there truly is no precedent for. Maps.forflight.com. I want to pull this up here. I'm going to pull up my ForeFlight, and my ForeFlight is the app that I use when I fly airplanes. Okay. I'm going to pull up the stuff over here. All right. So this is the chart. I'll dial it up here. So these are the charts that we use when we go flying. Oh, hold on a second. All right. So these are the VFR sectional charts that we use when we go flying. Love them. Let me come up here. So this is how we know airspace and all that fun stuff. So what you're looking at is the VFR sectional chart for the El Paso area, and on the right side here, and I'll move this map so that you can see it. On the right side, though, it's showing. Yeah, that's good enough. On the right side, it shows the text for a temporary flight restriction. Okay. Basically, and I'm just going to read it. The Federal Aviation Administration classifies the airspace defined within, this NOTAM as national defense airspace. Pilots who do not adhere to the following procedures may be intercepted, detained, and interviewed by law enforcement security personnel. Any of the following action will also be taken against a pilot who does not comply with the requirements. They may take administrative action, criminal charges. C is the big one, right? The United States government may use deadly force against the airborne aircraft if it is determined that the aircraft poses an imminent security threat. And then it goes on and on and on and on from there. So there is what is referred to as a TFR, or a temporary flight restriction, over El Paso's class Charlie airspace, the same type of airspace that is over Orlando Sanford International Airport, Charlie airspace. El Paso is not a small airport, okay? About 1 million people live in that area. And the nearest commercial airport outside of there is hundreds of miles away. We need to continue this after the weather hit. And I want to continue this after the weather hit because there's a lot to discuss here, but I have to do my TV job. So where am I for this hit? All right. So we're talking about El Paso, and of course I get interrupted here. To do the paying job. I'm talking on Coffee Talk about El Paso.
El Paso, you were talking flights.
Flight stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're not talking weather in El Paso.
Yeah, it's like,
although my first job offer ever, Bob Jordan called me and said, K-Fox, young man, I want you to go to K-Fox, which is in El Paso. To which
That's right, you were an intern for Bob here.
and then I worked for Bob. I was an
Oh,
employee.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. Because you were
Technical director, director, and weather producer. Thank you very much. I did.
Sorry.
We better get that right.
I did Daybreak as a director.
Okay.
I punched and called the 5. I technical directed the 6. Went to UCF in Seminole State, and then I came back at 2 p.m. to do the weather producing, and I did that through college.
Did you? Speaking of Seminole State, did you do that Connect program to
I
get into
I didn't because
Okay.
I did Mississippi State for meteorology.
Gotcha. Okay.
Stuff that you probably had no idea about. Yeah. So I worked
Why?
split shifts
Why is Mississippi State the go-to? For
because it's
meteorological things?
operational. It's built for TV broadcasting.
I have an uncle, probably more of a cousin because he's my mom's
Right.
but he was a professor there at Mississippi State. Start
Stand by. 8:18 as we're getting out the door this morning. Let's talk about that forecast. A little bit of cloud cover.
Yes.
But it's going to be a great day. Yeah,
This is what we
coming.
got
This.
coming
A few
Sunday.
days, a few days.
We were just talking about this on Coffee Talk. This is frustrating.
Yeah.
Because, we're only about 5 days out from Sunday, okay? The models are so dialed into their own opinion. It's like disagreeing siblings. The GFS says it's going to pour on Monday. The European says it's going to pour on Sunday. And if it was any other day, it'd be like, okay, well, we'll figure it out. But we've got, 100,000 people that are coming to town to do the Daytona 500. And so that is so difficult. So when we look at things, and I made this graphic yesterday while I was trying to think of ways to explain how frustrating this is. So the American GFS says it's going to pour on Monday, and its run-to-run consistency is high. The European says Sunday, and its run-to-run consistency is high. The two just aren't talking to each other yet, and until they do, the confidence will not be there for our Sunday forecast. So I'll show you the European just to give you an idea. This is the worst case scenario for the 500. This is 1:30, a few showers dialing into town, but the heavier stuff is working in, and it's going to be around 5, 6, 7 p.m. that we've got the heavy rains around, pushing out around midnight, whereas the GFS says it's going to be kind of the same time frame just on Monday. So for now, we have a sprinkle or two in the forecast Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but Sunday, we really ramp up the rain chances. So with qualifying starting today out at the Speedway, we've got to talk about speed weeks, right? For the dual, great weather. For the 250, great weather. Perfect for the 300, right? But the 500, I don't have the answer just yet, okay? I'm not going to hype it. I'm just telling you right now the models are not agreeing, and until they do, we can't give you anything definitive. But that rain will be associated with a cold front. What's kind of interesting to also watch, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 16th, 17th, 18th, the GFS drops the temperatures a smidge from 80 back down to 71. And then there's a second cold front, and it drops back into the 70s. But you notice there's no real chill with these cold fronts approaching us. So we're kind of beginning this little bit of a warming trend. Outside this morning, we look over to the Daytona International Speedway, lots of birds, clouds over top of us. Otherwise, temperatures out the door, mid-50s there, upper 50s in Orlando. And the forecast today essentially keeps the clouds, brings temperatures into the mid and upper 70s. And then for tonight, we'll start developing fog. I think tomorrow morning is going to be a foggy one across Central Florida. Megan, you and I are going to be busy tomorrow morning, but I'm also going to be just trying to figure out when this rain moves in this weekend. Of course, we'll be keeping you up to date, Megan. Did he just say 6, 7? Not, it's funny. My boss a couple of days ago was like, "Did you just say 6, 7?" I'm like, "Yeah, those numbers come in succession." That's a struggling point for a weather guy, for sure. So there's that. All right. Anyway, so where do we leave off talking about El Paso? Chris says 1 million in El Paso, but Juarez is larger and the two are abutting each other. Yes. Look, I'm not a military expert. I'm not a government expert. Certainly there's a reason for this sort of airspace shutdown. I will say though, okay, first off, to shut down the airspace in El Paso, to shut down the airspace in a United States city, including a major airport, there is no precedent for something like this, okay? There are flight restrictions all the time for places. As a matter of fact, here in Florida, in Central Florida, there is a temporary flight restriction for Disney, for the Magic Kingdom, every day, almost since September 11th. And that flight restriction goes up to 3,000 feet. So I could be at 3,050 feet and cruise right over. This one, though, if you look in that top right corner, this goes from, it says active surface to 17,999 feet MSL, or mean sea level. When you get to 18,000 feet, that's class A airspace. That's all IFR travel. So overflights for big jets and things, that seems to be allowed. But anything below that is not. And one other thing that I think is very interesting and worth noting here, when the president is in Palm Beach, and I just did this not long ago, when the president is in Palm Beach, there is a small inner ring TFR that nobody's allowed into except Part 121 aviation, which is like United and Delta, the commercial carriers, okay? And then there's the outer ring, which you basically have to be what we call squawking and talking. So as long as you're talking to air traffic control, you're allowed into the presidential TFR. This one, nobody is allowed. I couldn't go in squawking and talking. Not even the Part 121 carriers, the Uniteds and the Deltas and things like, they're not allowed in either. Okay, like commercial, like if you look online, I found it. There's a Southwest flight where the tower asked Southwest bloody blah, are you guys turning around and leaving tonight? And the Southwest guy was like, no, I'm heading over to the hotel. Why? And the air traffic control's like, oh, because we're notamed, we're closed for the next 10 days. So it's not just like a temporary thing. This is 10 days. This is a big story. The other thing that I don't think is getting enough attention is the fact that just west of there, there's another flight, another TFR on the left side, that like triangle looking thing. That's another one. Same 10-day stretch, same surface to 17,999. But what's interesting about this one is that there's no airfield in that other TFR. There's, if you look at the VFR sectional, it literally has like 2 ranches and a mountain. Okay. And the folks locally here in El Paso even went so far as to say, like, the local politicians were like, we weren't told. You know, everybody in that area is basically even saying, we don't know if military, like what is it? Is it Fort Bliss is out there? Like, they don't even know if Fort Bliss is going to be able to do their military operations. If it's so I don't know. Jeannie Rowan says UFOs. Listen, September 11th, the United States airspace was shut down. I've been in aviation. I am a pilot. I'm not a commercial pilot. I'm not an airline transport pilot or anything like that. I hold a private pilot certificate. So I these are things I have to study, etc. I've been in the aviation world for a minute, and I can tell you that I've never seen anything like this. And it's not 10 days. 10 days, a major shutdown of airspace. 10 days is wild. Ricardo also points out it happened suddenly, not scheduled. Correct. So anyway, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to sit here and have conspiracy conversations. I did want to point this out, though, and I did want to point this out because somebody asked, and I'm a Roger. Somebody had asked about it, and I wanted to point it out. Matt says this has never happened before over a single city. Well, and I don't believe that it's ever happened before either for such an extended period of time. And like, you can't, there's no air ambulance available. Like, God forbid there's a bad car accident. There's no air ambulance allowed. There's no local law enforcement allowed. So there's all these little pieces of this that are just very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting stuff. That's I'm first. Yeah. It is beautiful outside. We've got clouds over the Daytona International Speedway. Otherwise, it's nice and it's comfortable. Temperatures out the door in the 50s. We're on our way to about 71 degrees this lunch hour, 77 degrees our daytime high. For tomorrow, for the weekend, we're continuing to be right around 80 degrees. Rains, though, arriving late weekend, early next week. Megan.
And we have a couple of issues along the State Road 408.
Why did I think I was going second? I was going second. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong cut-in. That's why. Dag nabbit.
Traffic there for that morning start to Wednesday morning drive.
I'm gonna get this dialed up. Haven't hit Melbourne in a minute. Oh, that's pretty. All right, let's see here. So I was looking at the wrong cut-in. That's why I was not ready.
I also am working on
Yeah, but your one brain cell's better than all of mine. So here we are. All right, stand by. Let me do this hit and then we can continue our conversation, people. Vintage Vixen on YouTube says we're living in different times. It's something. All I can say is it's something. Also, Vintage Vixen, what a name. Stand by. We'll continue this conversation in a minute.
We're breaking down all developments overnight. Plus,
And Osceola County girls targeted by managing that online. We are sharing advice for parents to make sure that their kids stay stable and continue to learn.
then, no driver, no problem. We track the roll of way more driverless cars across the floor. Sunrise on CW18 starts now.
Good Wednesday morning. Thanks for starting your day here at the Sunrise team. I'm Eric Down.
I'm Jason Guy. It's gonna be a nice warm day for us. Although right now, maybe we can put a layer or two on those kiddos.
Yeah, look about that. Our first one you're out. Eric, good morning.
Good morning to the both of you. I would just say a light sweatshirt or something to that effect. We're going to be good to go afterward. Temperatures quickly climbing, even though there's a lot of cloud cover. So we'll be to about 71 degrees lunchtime today, 77 our daytime high. And then this afternoon, we actually start clearing the skies out, getting more and more sunshine. And then the fog will roll in overnight tonight. But this is a super cool shot. This is in Melbourne, our Brevard County tower cam looking off toward the Atlantic, definitely with the clouds. They're all bark and no bite, though. There's no rainfall, not anything like that to worry about. 57 in Melbourne. It's 52 New Smyrna Beach, 57 in Orlando, and back into the 50s here for Ocala. Temperatures are running about 10, 12, even 15 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, and a little bit of fog here in Winter Haven. Otherwise, we're good to go. So for today, mid to upper 70s, looking great, but fog rolls in tonight, and it's going to be widespread. We'll talk more about it when I see you coming up in just a couple of minutes. Now let's get over to Megan Mackey. It's been a busy morning for you. All right. All right, let me get that plugged in. All right, let me see what we were talking about. Oh, yes, we were talking about the El Paso airspace thing. Very, very weird stuff. Brian says, being a pilot, military law enforcement, and local law enforcement guy with a wide variety of experience, I will say there are 100 potential scenarios for this to happen. All is speculation at this point. Agreed. That's why, respectfully, I'm not going to speculate. I just wanted to give the information, give the facts. What we do know, but there's a bajillion things that we don't know. I will say this, though. this is not something that happens. So there's a reason for it. And as any aviator would tell you, you don't fly where you're not supposed to fly. Period, paragraph, end of story. So there's that. All right. All right. Do they know in advance? Tim, do you know in advance what the anchors are going to say as they toss to you? No, they just kind of throw it all together. Yeah. So Chris is asking, is the airspace closed for Juarez? So technically, it's, see, I would say, I don't, I mean, for the city, of course it zoomed in too much. Come on. Oh, come on, stop it. Wide now. Oh my gosh. So for the city, yes. Technically though, but like I don't know how it plays out, if I'm honest. I don't know how it plays out. Like, do Mexican pilots pay attention to the United States restrictions? You know what I mean? Like, it's not closed for the Juarez airport, but for like downtown Ciudad Juarez, it looks like it is closed. So again, I've never flown out to airspace in Mexico, so I'd have to like really brush up on that sort of thing. But yeah, it's interesting stuff. I'll just say that it's definitely interesting stuff. Terry Ann says, whatever the reason, it must be serious for a closed airspace. And for 10 days, yeah, I'm sure, hopefully, we'll learn what caused this at some point in time. But for now, we don't know. So there's that. All right. Sound good? So anyway, you know, a few people had asked about it, figured with the aviation, you know, with the aviation knowledge I have, and I'm not going to pretend I'm a rock star expert or anything, but you know, I fly the planes every chance I get. I fly the planes. So anyway, all right, back here at home for the weather, looking beautiful. Yeah, appreciate the view from the pilot side. Of course, Chris. Hey, you know, just trying to give information because you know, like the networks are going to be doing the news, and you know, you don't know for sure if that's from somebody that understands aviation, but usually these TFRs are, and it's funny, like oftentimes there's a TFR up in Jacksonville. So like I can recall flying into Georgia and I was squawking and talking to air traffic control. And I remember asking them explicitly, like, hey, just to make sure I am cleared through this TFR. And they're like, yep, you're squawking and talking, you're good. And they all say it, but I just wanted to verbally make sure that that was the case. This one, there is no text saying that that's allowed. So yeah. Brian says it could have nothing to do with aviation except to protect aircraft from flying into harm's way. That's correct. Yeah. So there's a lot of different cases. Hopefully we'll learn. We just don't know it for now. All right. All right. That's all I've got, my friends. Sound good? Listen, thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. I will see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock right here for Coffee Talk. All right.